Imagine yourself standing alone on a darkened plain at night, far from any city. The stars are countless overhead, more than you've ever seen, scattered like sand across black velvet. You cup your hands around your mouth and call out into that darkness. Your voice carries a few hundred yards, perhaps, before it fades into nothing. And you wait, and nothing answers. This has been our condition for as long as we have been human. For as long as we have looked up at those points of light and wondered if someone, something might be looking back. We have always been calling out in our way. Through our myths, our mathematics, our radio telescopes turned toward the heavens. But until very recently, we were like children shouting into a canyon. Our voices too small to carry beyond our own echo. That has changed. For the first time in 4 billion years of life on Earth, we have the means to truly call out. We have radio telescopes capable of beaming messages across light years. We have spacecraft, Voyager 1 and 2, carrying golden records etched with the sounds of Earth, sailing beyond the edge of our solar system into interstellar space. We have deliberately transmitted signals toward nearby stars, announcing our presence, extending an invitation. We have become capable of making ourselves heard across the cosmic dark. And so we must ask a question our ancestors never had to consider. Should we? It seems a simple thing, doesn't it? If you were lost, you would call for help. If you felt alone, you would reach out. The impulse is natural, even noble. But the universe is not a neighborhood. The cosmos is not a small town where everyone knows your name. And we do not yet know what kind of neighbors might be listening in the dark between the stars. For decades now, we have been listening. The search for extraterrestrial intelligence, SETI, has turned its instruments toward thousands of stars, scanning frequencies, waiting for a pattern that could not be natural, a sequence of prime numbers, perhaps, a mathematical constant, anything that would announce itself as the product of a mind, not an accident of physics. We have heard remarkable things. Pulsars, rotating neutron stars, ticking with such precision they briefly fooled us into thinking we'd found alien beacons. Quasars blazing at the edge of the visible universe. Cosmic microwave background itself, the afterglow of the Big Bang, still echoing through space after 13.8 billion years. We have heard the crackling, hissing voice of our own galaxy, a symphony of natural radio noise. But we have not heard a voice, not a deliberate signal, not a message. This absence has a name. It's called the Fermi paradox, after the physicist Enrico Fermi, who asked the most haunting question of the space age during a casual lunchtime conversation in 1950. Where is everybody? The logic is simple and troubling. The Milky Way galaxy is old. Over 10 billion years before Earth even formed, stars were already burning, planets already cooling into worlds. If intelligence arises with any regularity in the universe, if technological civilizations commonly develop radio astronomy and reach out, the galaxy should be humming with conversation. Some estimates suggest there could be thousands, even millions, of advanced civilizations in our galaxy alone. But we hear nothing, only silence. The great silence, as some have called it. Why? Perhaps intelligence is vanishingly rare. Perhaps we are against all odds alone. Perhaps the distances are simply too vast, the inverse square law, too unforgiving. Perhaps civilizations arise and fall too quickly, like mayflies, never overlapping in cosmic time. Or perhaps there's something about announcing yourself that wise civilizations learn not to do. We have one laboratory for understanding what happens when civilizations at vastly different technological levels make contact, our own history. And I'm afraid the lessons are not comforting. When Hernán Cortés reached the Aztec Empire in 1519, he commanded a force of fewer than 600 men. The Aztecs numbered in the millions, But Cortez had steel, gunpowder, horses, technologies the Aztecs had never encountered. Within 2 years, the Aztec civilization had fallen. Not through superior numbers, but through superior technology and the devastating impact of diseases against which the indigenous population had no immunity. This pattern repeats throughout human history with disturbing consistency. When Captain Cook reached the Pacific Islands, when European powers colonized Africa, when technologically advanced societies encountered less prepared ones, the result was rarely an exchange between equals. Often it was catastrophe for the contacted civilization. Sometimes through deliberate cruelty, yes, but often through forces neither side fully understood or controlled, through economic disruption, through cultural overwhelming, through the simple crushing weight of a more powerful technology reshaping a world without consent. Now, I am not suggesting that extraterrestrial beings would be conquistadors. I am not claiming they would be malevolent, bent on conquest or destruction. But I am suggesting that we should not assume they would be benevolent either. We should not assume they would be like us at all. We cannot know their intentions because we cannot know their nature. We cannot know what shaped them across evolutionary timescales we can barely imagine on a world we have never seen under a sun of a different color. The very assumptions we make about intelligence, about curiosity, about morality, these may be parochial, limited to our particular evolutionary history. History teaches us to be cautious, not fearful, but thoughtful, because once contact is made, there is no going back. We have a tendency, I think, to imagine extraterrestrial intelligence as a grander version of ourselves. Wise explorers, noble scientists, philosophers seeking connection across the cosmic dark. We imagine beings who share our curiosity, our sense of wonder, our desire for peaceful exchange of knowledge. But this may be a profound failure of imagination dressed up as hope. Intelligence on Earth evolved for very specific reasons. It evolved to solve survival problems in particular environments, to find food, avoid predators, navigate complex social hierarchies, to manipulate tools and predict the behavior of both prey and rivals. Our intelligence comes bundled with other traits that happen to arise alongside it. Empathy, curiosity, creativity, but also tribalism, aggression, territorial instinct. There is no law of nature that says intelligence must come with empathy, no cosmic principle that links curiosity to kindness. These are accidents of our particular evolutionary path, shaped by millions of years of primate social evolution, by our origins as cooperative hunters on the African savanna, an intelligence that evolved on a world with different gravity, different chemistry, different selection pressures, might be utterly alien to us. They might not experience what we call emotions. They might not have curiosity as we understand it. Perhaps they seek knowledge only for instrumental purposes, not for its own sake. They might have drives and imperatives we cannot even conceive of. Some argue that any civilization capable of interstellar travel must have overcome war, must have achieved sustainability and wisdom, otherwise they would have destroyed themselves long ago. It's a comforting thought, and I don't dismiss it entirely, but I don't accept it uncritically either. Sustainability does not require kindness. A civilization might persist through ruthless efficiency, through perfect control of its population, through mechanisms that would horrify us. They might be stable precisely because they eliminated certain traits we consider essential to being human. Compassion, perhaps, or individual autonomy. The point is not that aliens would be hostile. The point is that we simply do not know, and we cannot know until contact occurs. And by then, it may be too late to reconsider. Let me tell you what we would be announcing if we broadcast our presence loudly and deliberately into the cosmos. A planet orbiting in the habitable zone of a G-type main sequence star. the kind of star stable enough to support the long development of complex life, a world where liquid water covers most of the surface, where an atmosphere rich in oxygen, a biosignature, unmistakable evidence of life, surrounds a thriving biosphere. Complex chemistry that took 4 billion years to develop, ecosystems of staggering intricacy, and most significantly, a technological civilization. A civilization young enough to be undefended, advanced enough to be detectable, but not yet perhaps wise enough to understand what it's doing. We would be revealing our exact coordinates in a galaxy where distance, however vast, is not infinite, where time, however long, is not protection. Consider the speeds involved. Light travels at 186,000 miles per second. It seems fast, and it is by our standards. But the galaxy is 100,000 light years across. A message sent to a star 1,000 light years away would take a millennium to arrive, another millennium for any response to return, 2,000 years. It seems like forever, but it is not infinity. It is merely delay. Imagine a civilization that travels at even 1/10 the speed of light, a speed that seems fantastical to us now but may not violate any laws of physics. They receive our signal. They decide to visit. The journey might take 10,000 years, but perhaps they live far longer than we do. Perhaps they send machines that do not age, do not tire. Perhaps they simply have different concepts of time. They think in geological epochs where we think in generations. The point crystallizes. Once we send a signal, we cannot unsend it. It propagates outward forever, a beacon we cannot turn off, an invitation we cannot retract. And we will have announced ourselves to the entire galaxy with a return address. Who speaks for Earth? It's a question that should trouble us more than it does. When we send a message into space, when we announce our existence to potentially listening civilizations, who has the authority to do so? The scientists who operate the radio telescopes? The governments that fund them? The corporations that own the technology? The answer, I believe, should be all of us. Every human being has a stake in this decision. But it goes further than that. When we announce Earth's location to the cosmos, we are not just speaking for humanity. We are speaking for the whales in the oceans, for the eagles in the mountains, for the ancient forests and the coral reefs. For 4 billion years of evolutionary history, for millions of species that cannot consent but will be affected by what we do. We are proposing to announce the existence of our entire biosphere to unknown recipients for unknown purposes. This is not a decision to be made lightly, quickly, or by a few individuals in a moment of enthusiasm. We have international treaties governing Antarctica, the ocean floors, even outer space itself. Recognition that some places, some decisions belong to all humanity. They are not the property of whoever gets there first, but the shared heritage of our species. Surely contact with extraterrestrial intelligence falls into this category. Surely this is a decision that deserves careful, collective deliberation. Yet right now, as I speak to you, there is no international agreement on this question, no framework for deciding when, how, or whether to deliberately announce our presence. Anyone with sufficient technology could, in principle, send a message on behalf of Earth. That troubles me, not because I oppose contact. I have spent much of my career searching for signs of extraterrestrial intelligence, but because I believe such a momentous decision deserves more than accident or individual initiative. It deserves wisdom, it deserves caution, it deserves us at our best. Let me ask an uncomfortable question. Are we ready? Not technologically. We clearly have the capability to broadcast our presence across light years. But are we ready in wisdom, in maturity, in our understanding of ourselves and our place in the cosmos? Take an honest inventory with me. We have not yet learned to live sustainably on the one planet we have. We are altering our climate in ways we barely understand, warming our atmosphere, acidifying our oceans, driving species to extinction at rates not seen since the great mass dyings of the deep past. We possess weapons, nuclear weapons, capable of destroying our own civilization many times over, and we have come terrifyingly close to using them. We are divided by nation, by religion, by ideology, by race. Ancient tribal instincts still drive us despite our global technology. We have eradicated smallpox, but not war. We have split the atom, but not overcome poverty. We have sent probes to the edge of the solar system, but have not eliminated hunger on our own world. This is not condemnation, it's observation. We are a young species, barely out of the cave in cosmic terms. We have achieved remarkable things. The cathedrals of Europe, the mathematics of India, the art of the Renaissance, the science that revealed our place in an expanding universe. We have peered into the heart of matter and glimpsed the birth of the cosmos itself. But we have not yet achieved the wisdom that should accompany such power. Think about it this way. What kind of civilization would we wish to meet out there among the stars? We would hope for one that has solved the problems that plague us, one that lives in harmony with its world, one that has moved beyond tribal warfare and short-term thinking, one that has learned to think in terms of the long view, the deep future. Perhaps before we announce ourselves to the universe, we should become that civilization, not to hide in shame, but to grow into the role we're claiming, representatives of Earth, speakers for a world that cannot speak for itself. Perhaps wisdom lies not in the rush to call out, but in the patience to become worthy of answering. But I am not advocating for permanent silence. That would be neither possible nor, I think, desirable. Let me tell you why. We are already visible. Our television broadcasts, our radio signals, they've been leaking into space since the 1,930 seconds. They're weak. They fade into the background noise of the cosmos quickly, but they're there. An expanding sphere of electromagnetic radiation, now nearly 90 light years in radius, washing over thousands of star systems. Anyone within that bubble with sensitive enough equipment and the will to listen might already know we're here. So the question is not whether to remain invisible forever, it's whether we choose to shout before we've learned to listen. Whether we broadcast our existence loudly and deliberately before understanding what that announcement might mean. There's a difference between passive leakage and active transmission, between being detectable and being conspicuous, between the incidental radiation of a young technological civilization and the deliberate beacon saying, "We are here, come find us." I believe there's a middle path. We can continue to listen, we can continue SETI, scanning the skies for signals from others who might be trying to reach out. We can continue to learn about our cosmos, to search for biosignatures on distant worlds, to understand the conditions that give rise to life and intelligence. We can do all of this without broadcasting our presence loudly. We can work on becoming the kind of civilization that would be ready for contact, not in fear, but in preparation. This isn't timidity, it's patience. The same patient method that has served science so well. Observe carefully, gather evidence, test hypotheses, and when the stakes are immensely high, proceed with appropriate caution. The universe has been here for 13.8 billion years. It will be here for billions more. The stars are not going anywhere. We have time, time to listen, time to learn, time to grow. I want to leave you with an image. On February 14th, 1990, the Voyager 1 spacecraft, then at the edge of our solar system, turned its camera back toward home one last time. From 3.7 billion miles away, it took a photograph of Earth. In that image, our world appears as it truly is, a pale blue dot, barely a single pixel, suspended in a sunbeam. Look at it. Everyone you love, everyone you know, everyone you've ever heard of, every human being who ever was, lived out their lives on that dot. Every hunter and forager, every hero and coward, every creator and destroyer of civilizations, every king and peasant, every young couple in love, every mother and father, every inventor and explorer, every saint and sinner in the history of our species, all of them lived there on a mote of dust, suspended in a sunbeam. This is not an argument for cosmic insignificance. Quite the opposite. We are small, yes. Our world is a tiny stage in a vast cosmic arena. But we are also, as far as we know, the only place in all this vastness where matter has organized itself into consciousness, where the universe has become aware of itself, where atoms billions of years old, forged in the hearts of dying stars, have assembled into structures capable of contemplating their own origins. That is not nothing. That is miraculous. And it carries with it a profound responsibility. When we think about contacting alien civilizations, we must remember what we're risking. Not just ourselves, not just our current civilization, but this 4-billion-year experiment in the evolution of intelligence, of love, of music, and mathematics, and wonder. We hold in our hands, quite literally, the future of the only life we know for certain exists in the universe. If we must speak to the cosmos someday, and perhaps we will, perhaps we should, let it be in the spirit of the Voyager Golden Record. Not a demand, but an offering. Not we are powerful, come fear us, but we are here wondering, hoping to join you someday as equals, as fellow travelers in this strange and beautiful cosmos. The stars are still there tonight, still silent, still waiting, and we are here on this pale blue dot, brief and fragile and precious beyond all measure. For now, that is miracle enough. Let us cherish it. Let us protect it. Let us become worthy of the larger conversation we hope one day to join